Hello and welcome to the Perth Gaming Crew show, episode 1. Pat, thanks for joining me today. How you doing?
Doing well, man. Doing well. This is the reshoot series.
It's a reshoot. It's a reshoot. So, what do we say? The people of Perth, the listeners, they've given us some feedback and they said redo episode 1. The audio was a little bit off, so true to gaming form, we've decided to remaster the whole thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, and hopefully. Hopefully, you can actually hear us this time. That would be a good goal for a podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, in gaming, when they reach a certain amount of sales, they reach like platinum, and then that's when they start doing remasters to just like capitalize. Well, we've reached platinum, I think.
I think we got about 3 or 4 episodes in, and the people of Perth, as demanding as they are,
that's it. That's it. No, it's awesome. It's awesome. I feel like, it's always enjoyable having a chat to you. So always a good time.
Yeah, likewise, man. Likewise. And like any good remaster, to the listeners, hopefully the audio is a lot better. We can't promise that we'll fix the jank on our faces. We still look like the previous edition of Pat and John, but we do what we can.
A little bit older, a little bit wiser.
A little bit older, a little bit wiser.
3 weeks later.
I would like to remind viewers that we really do see this as like semi-pro. So join us for the ride, have a bit of fun, and we're just here to talk about all the games and gaming news. So yeah,
absolutely. Dude, was that the original Donkey Kong Country music? Because I was getting into that. That was.
Do you remember that one?
Yeah, I forgot about the drop. Like, you know how it's just got like little retro whatever beats, and then the drop comes and it goes hard. And I don't know when you can see me getting into it when we first.
Hey, everyone did, and if someone says they didn't, they're lying. Like the first time anyone booted up that game was like, it's kind of cool. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. So, look, we just want to reshoot episode 1 and rehash while we're doing the show, and also talk a bit about our favourite games of all time to kick it all off. So, look, I might just start to say why we are doing this show. So, Pat and I are avid gamers. We've played games across all the console generations since we were little kids, many, many years ago, and we are still gamers. We never grew up. We probably never will. Is that a fair call, Pat?
That is an absolutely fair call. And, 30 odd years in, pretty safe to say that's accurate.
Yeah, absolutely. It sure is. And we just have an absolute passion for games on all the different consoles, and we own quite a number of them, like current and previous ones. And we're both in a podcast, so we just thought, why not put 2 and 2 together, put out a show, have a bit of fun, and hopefully there's some other people, in Perth and beyond who are interested to listen about our silly stories, our fun games, and, can bring back some memories of the good times or the current times you're having, like, on the gaming scene. So welcome to the show. And Pat, maybe before we get on to, like, our favourite games, do you want to tell me a little bit about why you've joined us on the journey here?
Yeah, well, pretty much. So, very beginning when you pitched the idea and pretty much had to coerce me into joining. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's like
money
you said.
There.
Exactly. No, it's like you said. Like growing up, avid gamers, always been a gamer ever since. Pretty much as much as I can remember. And if you guys listen to our previous podcast, which is weird to say considering this is technically episode 1, you'll know that from a young age it's been there. The passion has been there, and as John said, just over the years, pretty much I've owned a console in every generation. And it's just been an escape for me and a way to just hang out with my friends without actually being in the same room, sort of thing, especially nowadays with the rise of online gaming and just everything being online. It's really good. So instead of going down to the pub and smashing some beers, we smash some aliens instead.
Why not? There's nothing wrong with that. Someone has to save the world, don't they? They really do.
Exactly. In our heads, that's what it is. But no, it's always a good time, and it's a way for us to connect, especially with everyone being so busy, different countries, and moved away and stuff. It's sort of the only way now that we can sort of just hang out, I suppose, because everyone's either working, they've got families.
Yeah.
What's an hour or two of a gaming sesh on a Friday night or something? Everyone just hops on. Nice, easy, and convenient. But yeah, no, it's really big part of my life. Also love podcasts. So like you said, next sort of natural extension is just combining the two. And it's always fun having a yarn with you. So
oh, thanks, man. Yeah, no, it's always a good time. And since we did launch the podcast and we're about episode 4 in, before we were reshooting this one today, we've had some really great feedback from friends, family, and others who are just really being positive and supportive, and we're learning as we're going. We really are semi-pro. We're here just to have a lot of fun, keep it casual, have some laughs. So it's been nice to connect with people who are just like, oh yeah, I remember playing like GoldenEye on the couch as a kid, or oh, back in the days I played Snake on the original PC, or, people are like, I spoke to someone the other day who said, I play one game and they only play StarCraft 2 and they're not that big a gamer, but that's all they've played for years consecutively. So our podcast is kind of, for everyone out there who's into any type of game. We can't cover everything, but just for someone who's interested in gaming casually or hardcore, if you're interested, join us for the ride. So that's our goal, and to keep the people of Perth cool on another hot day. So in we go, Pat. We did say we're going to talk about our favorite games of all time. How could we not? We do need to do this. So
we do.
We're not going to list off 100. We're just going to go into a few that we're quite keen on. So
we'll try and narrow it down as difficult.
We'll try and narrow it down. Yeah. There's so many. There are literally probably tens of thousands of games out there, and we've probably played thousands of games. I would say. Oh no, that scares me.
I reckon.
Money and time well spent. So Pat, you're up, man. What's one of your favorite games of all time?
Yeah, so we were talking about this before, and I was debating whether or not to list completely new ones, and I think I'm going to, but I cannot leave this one off the list, because if you're talking about favorite games of all time, I have to talk about this, because it probably is in my top 3, if not some days easily number 1. Anyway, if you've been to our website, perthgamingcrew.com,
yes,
you will see. you will see on my bio. It's listed there. This game is Chronotrigger on the Super Nintendo. Absolute masterpiece of a game. The pixel graphics that I like, and as you know, retro. Also, it's just beautifully crafted. It tests, it holds up its own against time. Especially now with a lot of the retro type of games and pixel graphic type of games coming back into sort of fashion, I suppose, for lack of a better word. It's being used as sort of the blueprint, or at least just some sort of inspiration is taken from it. The soundtrack for the game is beautiful, fits with everything. You can sometimes, this is an admission, I even listen to it just for fun. Just pop it on YouTube because it comes in my head, because it's just so impactful, and it just adds depth to the game. Character development, absolutely wonderful. All the characters are likable. There's 12 different endings, so there's lots of replayability in the game. And for an RPG, that's I believe that's quite unique at the time. And just I could go on and on and on about this, but it's just one of my favorite games of all time. Saving the world, making friends, go on a large quest. It's got all the good classic.
It's a dream.
RPG.
I can see your eyes light up, man. This is I feel like you've got a Chronotrigger badge on your heart, and you're like,
I do.
Can I drift from this? No, I can't. This is my favorite ever.
No, this is it. If any time, any question about favorite games, this will always come up for me.
Yeah.
Well, I also played it during the formative years of my life, so a little bit older than most because I think it came out earlier,
Yeah.
maybe when I
Yeah.
was like 5 or 6. I played it when I
Yeah.
was about 10 or 11.
Yeah.
So first type of RPG type of game that I played, I want to say, or at least that type of game.
Yeah.
So I can't say it was the first actually. I played like Final Fantasy VII and stuff around that
Yeah.
time then, but this one definitely had an impact. So
Yeah. Nice,
yeah,
man.
no, it's just a beautiful game. If you haven't played it yet, please do so. It is a time sink, I have to say, because
How long, like, are we talking for
it
this
can be
game?
as long as you want. Like,
Okay. Oh,
if you do
wow.
all if you do all the side quests and stuff like
Yeah.
that, obviously longer. But if you just do the story, I want to say maybe like classic RPG length, which is like JRPG length, I should say, which is anywhere between 20 to 40 hours around
Yeah.
there.
And beyond,
So
hey, they go up to like
yeah,
60. Like Persona goes up to
yeah,
like 80,
yeah,
I've heard, or more.
yeah,
Like, wow.
exactly. But for the time, it's a lot. But yeah, it is a time sink, but very easy game to pick up and play.
Sweet. And so I remember like it released on the original SNES and then you picked it up later. Is it on modern consoles or like smartphones these days?
Very good question. Actually,
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, no,
It is.
because I know like I've heard this game is kind of beloved by a lot of people, but people are hoping it'll come to some other consoles or something.
Yeah.
So yeah.
There's been a lot of ports for it.
Yeah.
So, and just a shameless plug, if you type in best JRPGs of all time in Google, this does appear at the top of the list.
That's not our website.
No, that's not our website. That's just me being a stan. No, so it's been ported. It's been ported. So original was on the Super Nintendo. It's been ported to the PlayStation. That one added cutscenes and stuff like that. That was missing from the Super Nintendo.
Like OG PlayStation.
Yeah, OG PlayStation.
Wow,
It's
wow.
animated by the same person that does Dragon Ball, Akira Toriyama, I believe. He did the character design and things like that for the cutscenes, or just the characters. And also, not a lot of people were fans of the PlayStation because of the loading times, spinning discs and everything. But I liked it simply because of the cutscenes. I thought it added depth, and it added that sort of that cool factor where you're like, if you're into anime as well, you get the anime cutscenes. It's cool. It's also now on Android, so you can get it on your phone.
Sweet.
And also on Steam, which upon release was absolutely savage because there were so many bugs and there were so many problems.
What?
But yeah, so it
okay.
tarnished it a little bit. But now the developers, I believe, listened and they've released a bunch of patches, and it's very good. It's back to its glory now, so it's very good.
Sweet.
I should also admit that I own a copy of this game in every single one of those consoles that I just listed. So I paid for every single one. That's how big of a fan I am.
Hey, there's 12 endings. It's like your favorite game. What are you going to do when they release it to like PS4, PS5, Xbox Series, PC, Switch 2, whatever? Oh, no.
You know exactly what's going to happen.
Exactly.
I'm going to be working overtime for a few nights just to...
All worth it.
That's it. No, it's, how about you, Jono? Hit me up with one.
Yeah, I mean, like, we had to lead in with Donkey Kong Country music. Should have maybe considered Chronotrigger music. Sorry, Pat.
It's okay.
But maybe next time. Next time. Which game's better? Nah. So, yeah. Sorry, can of worms. So yeah, mine is like Donkey Kong Country for the SNES. Like, yeah, like you, I've got a few that I'm like, I can cycle between these. Yeah. But Donkey Kong Country is probably my all-time favorite. So, for people who don't know about it, it's a side-scrolling platformer. You're probably familiar with Donkey Kong, like the Smash games or the upcoming Mario movie where he's been advertised a bit. It's special to me because, first of all, it just had incredible music. Like, the music was...
As we heard.
Yeah, at the start, you're just like, oh, that's kind of cool. That's like a main thing in this game. And the whole production values of the game were just outstanding. I remember very clearly when I went to buy my Super Nintendo. I think I had to buy it a couple of years in because, I just couldn't afford it. I was a kid, and then saving pocket money and, saving for a long time to get a SNES. When they were at that time when I went to buy one, that's when Donkey Kong had come out. And yeah, it blew my mind. Like graphically, it was just, I don't know, like
ahead of its time, I reckon.
Way ahead of its time. It was like, you've seen it, eh? It was like kind of like clay animation, really beautiful, bright, vibrant colors. You can't compare it to something like Super Mario World. It's like next generation. It belonged on the next generation.
Oh.
I think so. I mean, graphically. Hold off, angry viewers. Hold off, angry viewers. Yeah. No dissing Mario in the first podcast.
This is why we have comments turned off.
Yeah, you betcha. Donkey Kong fans, hang in there with me. It looked and sounded so good, and some of the features. So, for example, in the first level, it's got this gorgeous kind of jungly vibe and beat to it. As you're moving through the level, it's this lovely sun, like in the background, and then when you get towards the end of the level, the sun sets, day becomes night, and that's something I just never seen in a game. It sounds small, but
like the transition,
Yeah, but for what games could and couldn't do at that time, it blew my mind. And the whole game is like that, like with snow effects later on and on-off lights later on. And then the music is really powerful. Like there's kind of like intense, energetic music for like the minecart stages. There's kind of relaxed underwater, very relaxing. Nice vibe music.
How old were you when you played this game?
I don't know. I can just see myself being like
young.
Early teens, like young, maybe younger. Like, I could not tell you. Like, I feel like it could have been 10, 11, 12, 13-ish, that kind of age.
Formative years, exactly.
Formative years, yeah. But I just remember, like, with the Super Nintendo coming out, it was so exciting to finally get one with all the different buttons and the games that I played at friends. And then Donkey Kong was here. It's just... Yeah, it's a gorgeous series, and the games, even the latest one, Tropical Freeze on Switch, is lovely. It's one of my favorite Switch games. Yeah,
dude, low key, I reckon the Super Nintendo is like goated. Like it's probably one of the I don't know if I'm going to get flamed for this, but I reckon it's one of the greatest console releases ever. Like, tell me. Man. Oh, okay. I was about to say, tell me one bad game from the Super Nintendo. I know. that's a huge goal. That's a huge goal. But I feel like every game I played on the Super Nintendo, I was like, man, this is amazing. Like, its competitor is which one? The Mega Drive?
Sega Mega Drive, Master System, depending what region you were in.
Yeah. Or was it the Genesis? No, it was the Mega Drive. It was the Mega Drive.
Yeah, it's the Mega Drive, and then I think the Genesis is the American.
The after, yeah.
The Master
System is it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Like my cousins had that, and some of the games were memorable, but it was not like the Super Nintendo.
No, I agree. And dude, we're gonna totally buy into the Nintendo Sega war here, but the Super Nintendo was outstanding. Hey,
oh mate, it was like. I'm not even gonna pretend like it was not the superior console. I'm sorry, Sega fans, but you have to admit, in that generation, the Super Nintendo was absolutely decimated.
Yeah,
okay, it was maybe not, but in my opinion, it did. It did. So, just everything about the graphics and stuff. Maybe it's just the Nintendo touch. How they make it cute and fun and quirky and just easy to pick up and things like that. Whereas on, they have Mortal Kombat, but in Sega they had Primal Rage, which is those big animals that was
I did love Primal Rage. But
I loved it. It was great. But it was
it's not for kids.
Definitely not. You have the monkey peeing on you as one of the moves,
and the dinosaurs eating people. The dinosaurs are the worshipped. You remember this game? Man, we're gonna have to go talk about this game sometime. The dinosaurs being worshipped, and then that's kind of not great for some countries. And then you're eating the people while you're fighting. That was amazing.
Primal Rage is a great game. Don't get me wrong, But just
Yeah.
like the stark contrast between like, you know, fun and quirky, between like, oh, this is pretty serious. Like, you know, you got people dying. There's like monsters peeing on you. There's like farting as a special move and things like this. So it's like,
There was.
yeah. Yeah. So it's the contrast, I guess, each to their own sort of thing. But yeah, no, but Donkey Kong Country was way ahead of its time, I reckon. So I reckon it's a very solid choice.
Yeah, no, I would pick that game any day of the week. I was so happy it was released on like the SNES Classic that came out.
Nice.
It had to be on there. It's such a refined system. Pat, we're going to have to do an episode just on the consoles. No doubt.
Does it have any remasters or anything like that? Re-releases?
No, it doesn't. It got re-released for like I think Game Boy Advance.
Okay.
And then they did like I think for Wii it was Donkey Kong Country Returns, but it was an improved game. It was new graphics, as good as the Wii graphics weren't. It was, it was different. So they've never remastered it, but they have iterated on it, and the iterations have been like really good. So the Wii version, and then Tropical Freeze, which went to the Wii U and built upon it. Yeah. So.
Making enemies here, by the way, calling Sega out, just being like,
Wii, Mario. We're good at doing that on this podcast. Oops.
Lucky it's a remaster. People know what we're about already.
So that's right. Can't we do? Maybe we can do like The Last of Us and do like 3 or 4 reboots or remasters. Like that game
calling out The Last of Us. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Might be The Last of Us, Pat. So Donkey Kong is right up there for me. But like if you go for a favorite second, Pat, what are you thinking of? What do you got, man?
Okay, so in our previous trouble-riddled episode 1, I brought up Skyrim, which I believe is a choice that most people will have, and I don't think I need to go and explain as to why Skyrim is great, because if you played it, like if you
it belongs up there.
Yeah,
it belongs
if you know,
there.
you know. If you played Skyrim, you know exactly why I say Skyrim would be one of my favorite games of all time, because Skyrim. And the fact that it's still relevant, like 11 years or 12 years after it's been released, and there's still a strong community, people still play it, applies to a lot of games, but like this is a single player game. Like it's not like an MMORPG where, thousands of people log in and there's a community. Like this is a single player game that you cannot play with other people. And the fact that it's holding up just says to what it is. But so my new game that I'm going to bring up that I just remembered because I was talking to someone about it is it's a game called, I don't know how much hype this game got or how popular it is, but it's called Sleeping Dogs.
Yeah.
Have you heard of it, John?
Like before, I feel like you've mentioned it offhand.
I probably have because So Sleeping Dogs, for the uninitiated, is basically it's like a GTA Grand Theft Auto style of game, but it's set in Hong Kong. I believe the origins of it were the True Crime game series. The development was supposed to be something called like True Crime Hong Kong, because you know how you have True Crime LA, True Crime whatever. I forget the names, but it's from the True Crime series. This one was supposed to be part of that series called like True Crime Hong Kong, but something happened in the development, and then Square Enix or whatever, or Frontline Studios, I think is what the studio was called, took over it, changed the name to Sleeping Dogs, and it is still set in Hong Kong, open world. But the story is, this is like, if there was a movie made about this game, it would be a fantastic movie. To be honest, there actually sort of is already, because you play as a cop. His name is Wei Shen. And you are basically an undercover cop, and you are sent to infiltrate the Chinese triad or the Hong Kong triads. Fictional, as in the game, but you basically go through the game leading a double life. You do cop missions, you do triad missions. The triad missions are like the main story.
So you're still doing like the bad stuff of the triads. You've kind of got to
Well, that's
in
that's
between.
Where that's where the dichotomy of it plays, because like you get an insight into his psyche, because he's obviously an undercover cop, Like, but he would go to war and he'll be like, he'd go to war with like other gangs. Like, he would beat them senseless. He would like kill some of them. He'd have to do stuff that, like you get in trouble for if you're a cop. Like, if you
might be a bit illegal and a little unethical for a police officer.
Exactly. So if any of you listeners, and if you, John, have watched a movie called, oh my goodness, like Infernal Affairs, Hong Kong cinema, Infernal Affairs.
I've heard of it. Haven't seen it. Yeah.
For which the oh my goodness, I can't believe it. I'm blanking. It's that it's that Leonardo DiCaprio movie. One of my favorite ones. Oh my! It's like it's basically the exact same. It's an adaptation of the Infernal Affairs. He's an undercover cop. He's like infiltrating the Irish mafia. Matt Damon is in there as well, but Matt Damon's the opposite. So he's from the Irish mafia, but he's being a cop. So like he's starting to be a cop, but he's like a mole. So they're like moles for the opposite side, and they spend a movie trying to figure out who each other is because things happen. Oh my God. Permit me, I have to look this up.
Don't worry about it, man. No stress. Actually, look, it's got Leonardo DiCaprio. Everything he does is gold.
The Departed. That's it.
Yeah.
The Departed. I can't believe I forgot that. I'm gonna get
watch it now, Patrick. Watch it.
Comments are turned on. I'm gonna get savage. But no, it's The Departed. It's basically that style, but soundtrack is good. The world is absolutely alive. I think it's supposed to be just a compressed Hong Kong. So it's got the same suburbs and stuff like that.
Like if the landmarks and all that, like but they're in like that small. I've seen that kind of thing done before. The Forza Horizon series does that.
Forza Horizon series. Another time, but it's a beautiful game. The world is absolutely alive. You feel like you are. Okay, this is a huge call, but you feel like you're in Hong Kong. Because if you walk around, there's all the noises, there's all the sounds, people speaking in Cantonese or Mandarin. Sorry, cool. Chinese fans, I don't know which language it is, but one of them. But yeah, it's just beautiful. The story is absolutely fantastic. It's not too long, and you can absolutely just push through it. It's a must play for me. It goes on sale from time to time. You can pick it up for like $2.50 or less than $5
on Steam.
On Steam or on PlayStation. Wow. I don't know if it's on the Switch, but
it's not.
And the remastered version as well. So it goes on sale for like $5, but it's a beautiful game. Really, really good. You play it for the story. I think they're trying to make a movie out of it with Donnie Yen as playing as Wei Shen, but I don't know how much traction that's gotten. So it is good. It's good fun. Definitely give it a try. Again, I could talk ages about this, but
that's cool.
Your turn.
That's not like a globally big game. I remember seeing that come out a while ago too. Like it was just like this is like digging back into the past a bit.
2013, I believe, and. Again, I have to admit, I have owned this game on every console.
I feel like your bedroom or your house is just like a pile of Chronotrigger, and then a pile of sleeping dogs, and it's like Chronotrigger's probably this big because it's a bit older, and then there might be a pile, like a couple of games somewhere else.
I've owned this game on every console it's come out on because I love it that much. It's just such a good story. Like you will feel attached to the characters because they all have fantastic personalities. Some would call cultural appropriation. I don't think so. I feel like it's great. As a person of Asian descent, I don't feel offended. I thoroughly enjoyed everything about it. It's
awesome.
Great. So
yeah, man, that's cool. And like the fact that it's aged well holds in a good stead. I have not played it, so
I feel like it's aged well. It's got good graphics, like not 2022 good graphics, not Last of Us good graphics, but it's like GTA. Like it's got that charm. Like if you played Grand Theft Auto Vice City or San Andreas. Or even closer to GTA 4 probably. It's about like that. So yeah, it's great.
That's fine. I mean, that sounds like a Nintendo Switch game in terms of graphics. So, sorry, Switch fans. All right, on to the next one.
Making enemies.
Can't help it. So yeah, for me, like the next biggest one, I was tossing up what I love, what I like. We have to do 3, Pat, please. Yes, done. Sorry, it's done. The next one for me, are you much of a Transformers fan at all? Did you up growing watching that show at all?
I don't know if you can see it, but that you see just behind me there, that's an Optimus Prime still in its box. Absolute mint condition. So
okay, that was not a setup. Like, I actually did not realize. Yeah, and like, you know, I'm sitting near the window. I can like barely see your face. I mean, sorry, it's a remastered version. It looks amazing. Yeah, awesome. So, okay, that's kind of cool to know. So, there were a couple of games that came out during the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3 time when the original movies came out. Well, not the original movies, but when the Michael Bay movies came out and popularized it again. And there was some games that weren't that great based on those movies, but there was a studio called High Moon Studios that actually did modern versions of the original Transformers games, and they were third-person shooters. Okay. Have you ever seen these?
I don't think I've played these. These. You'll have to tell me about them.
Oh, yeah? Man.
What console?
Yeah, so Xbox 360, and then you can get it on the Xbox Marketplace, the second one. So the games are War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron, and Optimus Prime is on the front cover of both, playable in both. These games, I think they came out at a time when games just exploded. Call of Duty's everywhere, the market was flooded, Xbox 360, PS3 era, HD gaming was coming in, and people, I think a lot of people probably associated Transformers with the Michael Bay era and not the old era as much. So they didn't sell amazingly well. But these are top tier games, like 9s out of 10, 10 out of 10 for me. They're essentially third-person shooters, so I've got to say both. War for Cybertron, for example, the first one is a third-person action shooter, a bit like Gears of War. But, you know, you can play as Megatron, you can play as Optimus, and you can play as some less well-known Transformers as well, like Thundercracker, which is one of Starscream's little sidekicks in a different color. I don't know if you remember those guys or not.
I do.
So you do? Yeah, like all the alternative color Transformers to save on their production budget back in the day. But they've made them into full characters. So it is incredibly fun. They made it like a serious, you know, end of the world, you know, the war and Cybertron based on Cybertron stories. It's amazing. I love it because for me, it was a dream come true as a gamer. So, you know, when you're a gamer and you're like, oh, I love this movie, or I love that comic book, or I love that sport. And then they make that. And I think because I grew up on like the Nintendo, the Super Nintendo, played some Sega arcades, always wanted to transform a game. And it took 20 years or probably 20 years almost for that to arrive and be quality. So these games are just exceptionally good. We did a segment on boss fights in episode 4, and I would have loved to have snuck these in there. You get to fight Triptychon, who's like the Godzilla transformer in the first one. So epic. Nice. Like, he's a screen filler. He talks, you know, he bags you. The transforming is great. You move around really, really well. The graphics are fantastic. And then the second one has better gameplay variety, and you get to play as some of the Transformers like Soundwave, who had the little mini cassettes that jump out and attack you.
Okay.
Do you remember that? Do you remember that guy? Like the mini cassette guy?
Absolutely.
Like, yeah. So you get to play as
I was
him.
like, well, what happens if it runs out? Like the little...
That's a true dilemma. What do you do? I feel like Transformers lore is so bogus, man. It's all over the shop. And then in the second one, you get to play as a Combiner, which is another dream come true for like a Transformers fan, and Grimlock, the dinosaur. Dude, I don't know if you're into third-person action games, but I am.
Absolutely.
And this was like the best, like this was like the ultimate recipe. Unfortunately, these games just did not sell well. So I don't know if they'll ever do something like that again. But for Transformers fans out there, if you if you haven't heard of it or you want to look at it, it's called Transformers War for Cybertron and Transformers Fall of Cybertron, and both are just really epic stories. Great gameplay, music, all that stuff. Plays your favorite Transformers. Love it, love it, love it, love it.
I like that you chose a game that's not it's not past the tests of time, I should say.
Yeah.
It's like you just I respect that. That's cool. I've never played the games personally, so it gives me something to give it a crack at. So it's fantastic. I mean,
it's kind of funny actually. Like we both got like Sleeping Dogs and Transformers. Like we haven't thrown Zelda in there yet, or we haven't thrown Sonic in there yet, or God of War, or whatever.
It's a popular choice. Like it's like something that people would expect. So while they may be my favorites, it's sort of like they're made to be liked, I suppose. I prefer finding these little hidden gems and just being like, oh my goodness, like it's actually a fantastic game.
Yeah, and it's exciting when you didn't know anything about it. Or I love that with games that some do age well, you can go back and play games from 10 years ago. Yeah. And they can be just as fun or better than games coming out now. It's like some songs, like it's like that could have been released today, from 20 years ago. It'd be amazing. So yeah, I love it.
No, definitely. No, I respect that choice. It's very cool. How did you find out about it?
I had
just
an Xbox 360 at the time, and then I followed gaming news, and then I never. So they used to have gaming magazines, so I stopped buying them at that time because they'd almost become redundant. I was in my 20s, and then I just saw a magazine with this on the cover. I was like, "What? There's Transformers games coming amid the flood of games," and it was like, "Oh my god, this is you should watch the developer interviews. They're just so passionate." One of those passion projects, but
Transformers has a very passionate fan base.
It does.
I mean, me being one of them, I did not hear about this game, unfortunately, but it's definitely worth something
I've
trying
got
now.
my cartridge there. I'll lend it to you. We'll figure something out.
Beautiful.
But dude, we got to. Hey, I think I never played it as co-op. Yeah. I think the first one was co-op, and then the second one wasn't because they wanted to make the Transformers unique, zipping around levels. And they had multiplayer as well. So, I think it was online multiplayer, like Battlezone type thing. It's such a complete package, dude. Oh my god. I've got to shut up. It's killing me. I can't believe they haven't made another one. Well, I can, but I'd love it if they did. That would be my dream game that they remade, I think. But sorry, man. Yeah, over to you. What do you got for number 3?
No need to apologize, mate. No need to apologize. So mine is going to be a popular choice again. So, as you know, big fan of JRPGs, big fan of the Final Fantasy series. So it's only, I love 7, 8, but it's only natural that I choose 14. So 14 is unique in the series in that it is an MMORPG. So it's a huge community online. And I don't know if this is a real thing. I feel like it is just based on what I've read. But when Final Fantasy 14 first came out, it was absolute doggy poop of a game. Like it was
trash.
Bad. Like
it was trash.
I didn't play it during this time, but I just heard and reviews and stuff. It was actual garbage.
Wow.
So it was trash. It was bad combat mechanics or bad story was boring. There was nothing to like about this game. So they brought in Naoki. I want to say this right, Naoki Yoshida, affectionately known as Yoshi P in the community.
Okay.
So they brought him in as a director, and he basically said, "This is absolute garbage. We are restarting this from the beginning." So he took control, and I like what they did here because they included the scrapping of the initial game in the lore. So they said, so it's actual canon that the first game, it's in lore that the first game was scrapped. So the way they did that is they set up a big battle at the end of Final Fantasy 14. And it's called the Calamity. So they summoned a great big meteor, and the meteor turned out to, the meteor turned out to contain they're called the Primals. So this guy's Bahamut, It's like a big dragon, and the meteor got unlocked. Bahamut wrought destruction upon the world, absolutely just like wiped everything out. And one of the archmages teleported whatever to safety. Like he managed to teleport the heroes to safety, or some heroes.
Okay, nice.
So the new game starts. That's why it's called A Realm Reborn.
Okay.
And you are basically an adventurer set 5 years after the event, sort of thing.
Okay, that's so like fourth wall breaking. Like
it is
could
a
have
little
taken
bit
that bad, but it sounds like it worked out all right.
You could watch you could look at video clips of people actually waiting for the meteor to drop, because they're just gathered and they're just waiting for it, watching the final battle unfold and stuff. Cutscene played, and then the new game dropped, sort of thing. So I thought it was very cool. And immediate improvement. Reviews were absolutely glowing. They were all positive. Everything was improved upon. And I believe it was responsible for actually saving Square Enix from financial ruin.
Really?
Because it grew so big. I don't know if this is made up. I'm pretty sure I read it somewhere, but
just make it up, man.
Yeah, that's fine. No, I'm committing.
Throw it out there.
It is subscription based, so it will put off a bit of people because you have to pay a monthly fee to play it. But it is I believe it is responsible for saving Square Enix from financial ruin. So it put them in the red simply because of how popular and how big it got. It carried them financially for quite a while.
Wow.
And the best part about it is that when you create your own character, so you are living the Final Fantasy stories of saving the world, making friends, and you can make actual friends because real people play this game.
Yeah,
and
true.
I have to say, the community for this game is the nicest community I have ever played in terms of just like in terms of MMORPG. Everyone's so helpful. Everyone is so nice. You can legitimately make like real friends in this game. Very
so it doesn't
easily.
have like that toxicity element. Of
it does not have
like
that
trashing everyone, being awful and bullying and all that stuff. It doesn't have that. Awesome.
No, I'm sure it does, but not that I've personally encountered. Everybody I've encountered on here, I can legitimately be like, "Hey man, if you're in Perth, you want to go grab a coffee or something?" Like I would have no qualms. Like everyone's so bloody friendly and so nice. But gameplay itself is absolutely beautiful. Like the graphics are beautiful. The combat mechanics are fun. They're interactive because it is an MMORPG. It's all action-based. And if you look at the reviews for it, it only gets better and better. So second expansion was when the game turns up the heat. It's fantastic. And then from there, like you can look at reviews yourself. If you're listening to this, you're getting into 8s of 10s, 9 out of 10s, game of the year, expansion of the year sort of conversations. So
wow,
it's
so it's like right
beautiful.
up there with like the MMOs as well, not just like as its own.
If I'm not mistaken, it's probably the most popular MMORPG as of now, or at least as of last year.
Wow.
The final culmination expansion dropped for the storyline like 2 years ago. It's called Endwalker. Mate, that stuff will make you cry. It's like Endgame. It's like 10 years worth of story building up to this moment. It's like when Avengers Endgame dropped. So no, it's beautiful, man. It's a beautiful, beautiful game. Very immersive. And it's just very, very close and very, very near and dear to my heart.
Yeah, it must have been impressive, like, of all the Final Fantasy games to choose, because I know that people love 7, 15 was kind of different, and people are excited about the next one coming out that's going to be on PS5. And I know that 3/6, depending on which country you're in, is also like a beloved one. Like, they're the ones that come up, so, that's cool, man.
It's because I can make my own character here. And live my own life. You're so free to do whatever you want. You can change your job or your class anytime you want. There's also the peaceful classes like fishermen, all this stuff. You don't have to play combat. Like you have to do combat to progress the main story. But if you don't want to do that, you just go be fisherman. You go fish. You go sell your fish. You live your life however you want in the game.
That's cool. Some people just want to do that. If that's what you want from the game, it's like, so be it. Like, no criticism. Everyone's into different things. It's like, that's fine. You're into that. You go do that.
And that's why it's so popular, because you could just you could log in, hang out with your online friends, go fishing, go adventuring, go do whatever you like. It's I could talk on and on about this game, but it's absolutely wonderful.
No, that's awesome, man. And that's cool. We will have to do a segment about like online games and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, sounds like we're gonna have to do that sometime, I think.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Pat, we are quickly running out of time for the show, so I might.
You got to do a third one. Quick third one.
Third one. Oh, okay. Yeah. So I'll sneak it in.
Yeah.
So many to choose from. I have to choose my favorite. OG Mortal Kombat arcade.
Okay, yeah,
SNES.
nice. Yeah.
I can't not do it.
No, you can't.
I love martial arts. Like, I've done martial arts for about 10 years in total now. Like, martial arts just became huge to like people who were like around my age, like growing up like through games, you know, like Street Fighters, Double Dragons, Final Fights, all that stuff.
It's great.
Mortal Kombat, where to start, where to end? Look, Mortal Kombat is, I mean, it's still a series that's popular today. It's also probably like Final Fantasy, like it's got an enormous fan group following, like super duper fans, people who dress up in the stuff and all that kind of thing. There's a couple of movies, new and old, that have come out. I love number one because I have probably, again, those clear memories playing it on Super Nintendo and the arcades and seeing it on the Sega. This game where, the concept and the premise was incredible. Like, this martial arts tournament pulling in people from different, like, worlds.
The best of the best.
Yeah. Like, you know it, dude. Like, so there was, like... there's like the ninjas, like Scorpion and Sub-Zero, the ninjas, but they were really different, enslaved. Then you had like Earth heroes like Sonya, who was special ops, and then you had Liu Kang, who was like
Johnny Cage.
Bruce. Yeah, Johnny Cage was like the hilarious one. But like Liu Kang was based off Bruce Lee, Kung Fu master. So cool. And it was a quality fighting game, and it just had some aspects about it that stood out, and there were breaking, game changing for the time. So things like fatalities that were gory and intense, and they were shocking to teenagers. But for a teenager, it was also like, whoa, that's amazing. Yeah. Kind of like when Game of Thrones came out, people were like, oh, you can't do that. Then it was like, oh, you can do that.
Secretly.
Yeah, pretty much. It was like, oh, you can do this. Like, this is now public. This is okay. Or, this is popularized. The blood, the violence, was just incredible for the time. It got banned, and it went, it actually changed and forced the introduction of a rating system for games.
It became
on that
Sweat.
Stuff. Sweat on the Super Nintendo, because Nintendo was like, we don't do that. We do Sweat, which was awkward. And the fatalities were dumbed down. Hey, I only had a Super Nintendo, so, that's what I was playing it on. But look, it just, like, the characters were so interesting. The mythology was so interesting. And I remember watching on the arcades as they would scroll through, like, Goro and then wait a couple of minutes. I was going to say half an hour. It felt like half an hour, but, like, it was probably a couple of minutes, And then it would be like Shang Tsung, and like, oh, what's his bio? That's so cool.
Yeah, it's cool. I did like that part as well, actually.
Did you like that? Like, and it shows like this picture, and you're like
reading it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, so cool. Hey. And you didn't see that in fighting games that often, like the bio aspect. So I loved that. And the original, I don't just love it because it's original, but I think it really had fantastic lore. And I think it introduced some fantastic characters, but also the sub-boss fight of Goro and then Shang Tsung and how they changed the game was special. So that's definitely right up there. I won't go on too much more about it. Like, we definitely, I'm going to sneak Mortal Kombat into this gaming podcast
as you should.
From time to time.
I mean, even when it first came out, like with the graphics, with like the real people and stuff, that was quite a thing. Because back then it was like everything was pixelated. Oh, it's still pixelated, but everything was like cute, quirky, whatever. Like really
it was like
almost.
comical. Like people like comics or games were. They couldn't really nail the realistic look for a lot of games back on those old consoles, but they use stop motion using actors to do this. Looks cheesy these days, but for back then it was like I'm really playing as this
it was
person.
Like, whoa.
And throwing people on the spikes, and it's like, oh, shock factor, but cool martial arts,
added realism,
and all that stuff. Oh, so good, Mortal Kombat. So, but yeah, we do have to wrap it up, people. But we are sorry. That's what happens when you remaster. You gotta end it all someday.
Someday.
But yeah, awesome. So look, Pat, pleasure as always. Thanks so much for
my pleasure.
Reshooting episode 1 with me and
remastering
episode 1 with me, and we did take the feedback of our listeners seriously. We do want to improve. We're still starting, we're still learning, but just wanted to redo the first episode. So I hope your listeners enjoyed it. We certainly have. I have.
I definitely have.
Nice.
PerthGamingCrew.com, guys. Check out
PerthGamingCrew.com. And we are, we're on YouTube and we're on Spotify. We are looking to release episodes on the weekends, Sunday evening. We're a bit time poor sometimes, so do forgive us if we're a bit late, but we will try to do this. We're trying to get this out weekly on the Sundays. But thanks again, listeners, for joining us on this episode. Pat too, as always. And Perth Gaming Crew, that is us for the week. Over and out. See you later.